Hello, everyone. My name is Bria Price, and I am so excited that you all are here to join us for our college prep workshop. This event is put on by New Covenant Christian Ministries College Connection Project, and we're just going to go ahead and get started. So first, we want to welcome all of our families. So that goes to all the students, that is to every parent, every guardian, every grandparent, every grandfather, every aunt, auntie, the village that is there to support students going to college. We just want to say welcome. And if you're just right now watching this video on your own, go ahead and say, hey mom, come join and watch this video with me so we can get started on this college prep process together. Again, my name is Bria Price. I am a member of New Covenant Christian Ministries, also serve on the College Connection Project, and I am an educator and specifically work with students in their college success process once they have graduated from high school. So as you see in the pictures here, is when we hear about college going process, we always have this idea of your student wearing the best outfit ever, that cap and that gown, wearing that tassel proud, excited that they've made it through the first accomplishment of graduating from high school. And then going into what God has put them on this planet to fulfill a purpose. And for some of those students, it's going to college, starting their next journey in maybe going into research or engineering or writing in English. But we always think about the end process. But part of our conversation is going over the preparation process of how do we get to this end picture of celebrating the moment of the cap and gown, but preparing what needs to be put in place as a family together. So for today's panel, I am excited to have two dynamic leaders. And I'm just going to give a brief bio about each of them, and we'll go ahead and get started. First, I'd like to welcome Bobby Trimble. Bobby is an educator, a homeschool parent, and a lover of sharing knowledge and creating experiences for families, churches, corporations, communities, and schools worldwide. She even right now has two of her children thriving in college. Doesn't matter if it's her own children or other children that are under her wing, she has a heart to encourage, build up confidence in each of those students to see the leader that they are inside. I'm excited that Bobby Trimble is here with us today.
Thank you.
The next guest we have is Diana Kelly. She is an admissions counselor for Georgia State University, with specializing in Atlanta Public School, dual enrollment, and freshman applications. She also has a vision and a heart to inspire and develop the next generation to see their dreams come true. So welcome, Deanna and Bobby. Hello, how are y'all doing today?
Oh, good. How are you?
Good. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's just jump in. College prep. I think when we think about college preparation, anxiety builds up. I remember for me as a student, it's like, I have to do applications. So Deanna, first question goes to you. What's the best way to search for colleges during this time?
So the best way to search for colleges is probably going on college tours. So any colleges, especially colleges in your state, you don't want to outrule any college in your state because they're the closest in your proximity. So you probably want to look at college tours. We are in the pandemic right now, so you kind of have to be a little bit creative, and I know Bobby's going to talk a little bit about that further down. But definitely you want to research what colleges are, whether or not they're public, private, 4-year, 2-year, because there are a lot of terms that you kind of have to get acquainted with fast in order to see what college is for you. So that's probably one thing. The second way I would probably probably say is to just utilize Google. If you know what you want to do, so say, for example, you want to be a science teacher, what degree, what schools are best for science teachers? And it'll tell you according to one state, many states around the country. And I would suggest you do that for any school, any major that you're interested in, and you'll be able to narrow down your search to probably about 5 or 6 good schools.
Awesome. Bobby, what about you? In your experience, what was the best way to search for college for your family?
So for my family, one of the best ways for us, we weren't in the pandemic at the time, but I, was in the hospital. So we were able to utilize virtual everything. Then we went to YouTube. We did a lot of virtual tours, just kind of take responsibility as a family and make sure the experience is amazing for the student. I'm talking popping popcorn, have everybody sit in front of that TV and get excited. I mean, have balloons, make it a celebration for your students so that they will feel the experience still, even in the pandemic, they can still have that experience. So one of the best things that we did was we searched terms on YouTube like college tours, or the actual name of the school, like Georgia State College Tours, or a life in the day, or the day in the life of a college student at JCSU. And those students they gave us more real information that I don't think we found on the school's website or school's tours. So just making sure that you have that one-on-one experience and that hands-on experience with the student that actually goes to the school, even if it's from last year, you want those experience for your students. And then the other thing I would say is search things that that your student is looking forward to, not just the the major or the minor. Make sure that they have their sports. If they're into band, if they're into sororities and fraternities, let them search that too, and make that fun. That's a fun thing to see a marching band, and to see, the line sisters stepping and things. That's fun too. So get outside of just, the academic part of it, but get into some of the extracurricular things they'll be doing at the schools too. They'll be there for 4 years.
Mm-hmm. It's about the life that the student will be having at school. So if they're interested in sororities, if they're interested in getting a job on campus, knowing what other students have gone through. Another idea I was thinking about while you were sharing is follow the Instagram, follow the Twitter. Because right now, especially due to the pandemic, a lot of students are doing student takeovers on their Instagram pages to showcase what school actually looks like.
Yes, perfect idea.
So Bobby, you mentioned majors and minors. So should students search for schools based on majors and minors?
Absolutely. I'm definitely with just what Deanna said, that they should use Google. Use Google as your search tool. That is something that we did with our girls. We made sure that one student was communications and the other was business. Then we knew all the business, all schools had business, but they weren't her top schools, right? But there was a lot of schools that had communication arts, but they weren't the top of, like the top 10 schools. So that's what we did. What are the top 10 schools in communication arts? And then she applied to those top 10, so just make sure that when schools are reaching out to you and you're excited about, being accepted, that school actually does have your child's or your student's major and their minor. They're going to, take on a minor.
Deanna, from an admissions standpoint or any other experience you have, do students typically look at schools for their majors? What should their search terms be when searching for schools based off of majors and minors and their interest?
Yeah, that's a great question. I definitely would piggyback off of what Bobby said. So it's about the total experience, right? So if you know that even if you don't want to do D1 or Division II sports, maybe you want to do intramural sports, or maybe if a college is a city college, like for example, Georgia State is a city college, but there are other colleges that the whole town is based upon that one particular college. So it's all about how you want to live. Do you want to commute? Do you want to stay on campus? And then I would say one of the biggest things that is often missed by students is whether or not you want to go to graduate school. So if you know you want to go to graduate school, you might want to invest in a college or university that also offers that same major or interest in the graduate level as the undergraduate level, because chances are if you're going there as an undergraduate and you're doing well, they're prepping you for that graduate program. Mm-hmm. So that's probably a lot of other things that you want to consider, as well as the campus life, as well as the sports and activities that a lot of students miss, particularly when it comes to things like nursing, psychology, business, and a lot of schools really specialize on the graduate level, but maybe they kind of missed the mark, or they didn't consider that rather on the undergraduate level going in. So
that's good.
That's real good, because there's Google. From our previous conversation, we joked that it's YouTube University. Like when you're researching, it's like you're in school. Right. There's U.S. News that reports on the college rankings. So Google is a great first step to say, let me look to see what I'm interested in. And even if you don't know what you're interested in, maybe it's going back to the idea of what lifestyle are you interested in? Deanna, you mentioned, are you want to go into school in the city, or do you want to go to school that's a little in small countryside? How big do you want your classrooms to be? Because I know from my experience, I always went to a small middle high school. So when thinking about college, I actually wanted to continue the small school experience. So I was like, do I want to be in a classroom with 500 people like the movie show me? Or do I want something smaller? And when I did my college search, I looked for schools that were like 25-1, which actually I ended up at a school that was 10-1. So super small. Everybody knew everybody, which was interesting, but it was something that was important. So maybe even going over what are the important things of your college going experience, which can include your academics, your teaching style, how you learn, what resources are available to the students.
I think that's absolutely perfect. I also think that as parents, when you have a student who is just unsure of what they want to do, I think asking them the most important question is one of the things that we asked our girls was, what is your passion? What do you have a passion for? What do you go to sleep at night and it wakes you up because you really need to just do this thing? And for one, it was, she knew that she wanted to be an entrepreneur like her mom. And then for the other, she was going on what she has saw me do all these years. And I knew as her mom that wasn't her passion. Mm-hmm. And so then asking her again, what exactly do you see yourself doing that you like? What would you do for free? And it was all about writing and, film and television, and something totally different than what the first, daughter decided to do. And that's what I told her to go for. Don't go for what, you think I want to hear, because parents, that's what your students will do. But we have to really encourage them to go for their passions.
Yeah.
And then want to make money too. Yeah.
Go ahead, Deanna.
I think that's a great point, Bobby. And also, I want a lot of students not to get discouraged if they don't know what their passion or their interest is, because a lot of colleges cater to that. Nowadays, a lot of colleges will have you going in as undecided. You don't have to choose a major. And the whole purpose of that is, regardless if the school specializes in 20 majors or 250, most times you're going to be taking all gen ed courses before you're allowed to declare that major anyway. So that way you can get experience in every single field that college or university offers. So parents, students, I don't want you to think that you have to have it already made up in your mind by the time you're a freshman that you want to be this, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to change your major anyway.
5 or 10.
Right. And then a lot of students will say, well, is it going to be a waste of my time to go to college? No, it's about the totality of the experience. You grow leaps and bounds as an adult, you know, going from adolescence to adult. You learn some very key, crucial things. And a lot of times people pick up their passion all along the way. So I wouldn't let that worry you, even if you don't know what your passion is.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Amen. Amen to all of that. 'Cause even thinking about my college going experience, we had a career center. Like, even though I did not know what I was interested in, I knew for me, I went to get my bachelor's in theater and arts. I was not sure if theater and arts, like me performing, was a thing, or is education and sharing and teaching that with other students. So I actually got internships and fellowships from the Career Center to see if I had the education buzz. So you're right. I think a great tip from both of you is you can know exactly what you want for college, and there are resources available. So you can have no idea what you want to do in college, and the resources are available, and to every student in between. There is no cookie cutter student that goes to college.
Right.
So for our next
Yep.
question, what are your top 3 tips to completing the application process? I know right now it's application season. FAFSA is open for families to start doing financially, but we can go to the application process. What are your 3 tips? And let's start with you, Deanna.
Okay. So when you talk about applications, I go straight into admissions counselor mode because I read applications all the time. I'm actually reading applications as we speak. So I would say first and foremost, make sure you pay attention to those deadlines, okay? Every single school has all different kind of deadlines. If you've never used a calendar, now would probably be a great time to pick up a calendar, whether it be an electronic calendar or one that you write on a desk or with the pen and paper. But you want to make sure that you do not miss those deadlines, because a lot of times those deadlines are attached to merit-based scholarships or honors programs if you're interested in any of those things. You also want to familiarize yourself to application admissions terms. So what am I saying? So if it's rolling admissions versus early action versus early decision versus binding, non-binding, they all can be kind of confusing. But I would say the easiest way to tackle those terms is whatever school that you're interested in, make sure you either go on the admissions website or contact the admissions office, and they can explain what all those different terms mean for their school, okay? And I would say make sure you understand those things. And then the last thing I would say is don't delay in your admissions process. If you know you want to apply for that school, go ahead and be confident you've already done the work. You're a senior at this point, and just make sure that you put your best foot forward and apply and submit those transcripts right away. Especially during this time with the pandemic, things are a little bit slower. Teachers may be working remotely or at home, so they may not have access to everything that they need right at their fingertips. So you want to make sure you're giving yourself enough time, so that way you're not rushing to meet those deadlines.
Mm-hmm. So you have deadlines. If you have questions, contact the admissions office. They're there to support you and help you. And don't delay. Don't waste time now. Get what you need.
Yeah.
How about you, Bobby?
I would speak into the parents first. Parents, your student is going to need you to jump in this process with them. This is their very first time ever applying for college. It is a scary moment for many, and they're going to need not just your support, they're going to need you to jump in with them and help to do some of this, don't do their essays and the application, but they are going to need you to probably do some, emails, checking their emails, make sure that they're getting in things that they're supposed to have. They're going to need some assistance with that. Even with organization, they're going to need some assistance. My second tip is going to be Black Common App and Common App. So those are 2 applications, the Black Common App and the Common App. The Common App is free if you are reduced or free student for lunch. The Black Common App is about $35. That's $35. one application for each, and they will send your application to all these schools. Not just send. Now, you do have to click on which schools you want to get your application. The Common App, once you go through it, it really is self-explanatory, but parents, again, your student is going to need your assistance. So in the Black Common App and Common App, although your student is going to apply, they're going to have each of these admission counselors and let them know that they're interested. That's how they'll pull those applications. If you don't do that, the admissions counselors will not pull those applications. So that's really important. And lastly, make sure that you have firsthand knowledge of the school before you apply. You really do need to make sure that you're going beyond just that school's tour. Make sure that you are researching before you start an application.
Mm-hmm. I have a question. Well, let's go back. You said parents jump in to support, jump in and help with emails, because emails don't come only after the school day. They come during the school day and maybe are looking for a response. So that's a great tip for families. Black Common App and Common App. I did Common App and I didn't understand it at first, but then once you do it, you're like, so many people are interested in me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like and are asking me questions. So like being able and being available and doing your research. I think at the beginning of your college going experience, you fall so in love with the logo of the school and what you might know about the school, but you don't know really what it looks like. And it kind of goes back to your earlier points. Go to the virtual tours, but then also look at what the dorms look like, or what other amenities are around that school. What's available? Where's the closest airport if you're going to school out of state? Those are they in the news? Say that again.
Are they in the news? Are they in the news? Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother, because in our search and before, as we were doing applications, one of my daughters received admissions and then received an additional scholarship from this school, for us to only find out in our research after the fact that the school was about to be going into bankruptcy. So we found out we were getting an extra $20,000, but that wasn't going to be good for us, because if they, file bankruptcy and end up closing, then what happens? She would have to move to another school, transfer. And so make sure that you're even looking at the news headlines, not gossip, but headlines.
Mm-hmm. One more thing, Deanna, I think in the college going process, students really think about the essay and like the deadline of completing the essay, and do I have time to write it? Am I going to write a good essay? Or some people talk to their older cousin and kind of get and use ideas that they had when they applied for college. Could you give some insight about the essay part of the application?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the Common App, so there are a couple of things when it comes to the essay. For the Common App, in order to move forward with any school, you have to write an essay. So for example, Georgia State, we don't require an essay, it's optional, but in order to complete the Common App, you do have to complete for the essay. So especially during the time of COVID, the essay is critical for a couple of reasons. One, because during COVID, about 90% of colleges and universities are going test optional. That means that the SAT and the ACT are not required. If you have it, great, but if you don't have it, they're not going to penalize you, because they know a lot of schools are having trouble with administering the test. So we're relying on things like the essay and recommendation letters to help us to determine whether or not the student is a good fit for the college or the university. So you want to make sure within the essay you are unique. You want to make sure if you're doing an essay for the Common App that you tailor-made that essay for that particular college. I can't tell you how many times I read, and this is why I want to go to someplace else other than Georgia State University. So you want to make sure that you are changing those essays to fit the college and the university. and make it something that sticks out about you. Tell me about, why you are helping the community. What stuck out for you? If you're a nursing student, what was that pivotal moment that wanted you to become a nurse or whatever it may be? Tell me about you, because a lot of times too, since merit-based scholarships, again, are not heavily weighed anymore on the SAT and ACT, we are looking at the essay to see what we can pinpoint and stick out about you as a student. So don't be afraid to pour your heart out. Don't be afraid to tell me if you're a first generational college student. Don't be afraid to tell me that your family doesn't speak English and you have to overcome those barriers. Those are the things I want to see and hear in an essay. Those tell me that you are, fully aware of how important college is to you, not only you, but your family and your community. So those are the things that I would love to see in an essay.
Hey, amen. That's good. I felt
great tips.
Talk about yourself. Pour your heart out on the page. Okay, next question. How do you find money to go to school? And should students consider, we talked about living on campus or maybe living at home, but should they consider living the housing option? So let's start with the first question. How do you find money for school?
Great question. So I think I'm going to stick with the book answer, and then Bobby can tell you about all the tips and tricks. So first and foremost, you always want to fill out your FAFSA. That's the financial aid through the federal government. And that is opened as early as October the 1st. Okay. So regardless if you think you qualify or not, your parents make too much money or not, you always, 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 always want to fill out the FAFSA. And here's the reason why. For a lot of schools and universities, they won't even begin to administer financial aid, whether it be grant, loan, or whatever, unless you have filled out the FAFSA. So that's the first and foremost thing that you want to do, is to fill out the FAFSA. Do it early. Like I said, it opens up October the 1st. So do it early. And the reason why too is because a lot of times for the FAFSA, because they're not directly checking your parents' tax forms, they randomly select students, which is called verification. So a lot of times after you would have filled out the FAFSA, the schools will go ahead and select you randomly, complete random process for verification, and then you have to submit your parents' tax forms or whatever else they ask you to do. So that's one piece. The other thing why you want to do your FAFSA early is because a lot of times the schools will not even pull your information from the federal government until after you have been admitted from the university. So that kind of goes hand in hand why you want to submit your application early and then submit your FAFSA early. So that way you can kind of pick and choose and weigh what school is giving you what and what would be best for your family. So that's the textbook answer as far as finding money.
All right, Bobby, tips and tricks.
Okay, so they love to call me the Google Queen because I will find just about anything and everything, right? So one of the first things that I will tell you to do is, I'm going to stick with what Deanna said, is definitely FAFSA. You have to complete that if you're going to apply for any money from schools. But then go to the college website. The college websites typically will have foundation scholarships on there. They will have not just the school, but they will also have outsourced scholarships from other companies like Thurgood Marshall, Taco Bell, McDonald's. They will have a list of schools and but scholarships that you can apply to and their deadlines. So go to the colleges first is what I would say. And then I would say, do your Google search. Major, type in your major and then the word scholarship right after it. Put it in parentheses because that's where you will find this, right? So if I'm a business major, I'm going to type in probably business scholarships in Atlanta. That's where I'm at. If I want to go to school in California, I may type in business scholarships in California. That is going to bring up private organizations as well. So private organizations, if you Google not just scholarship, but actually Google what your major is or your minor. Those private organizations will come up for you as well. Specifically like the Sean Carter Foundation, who everyone knows is Jay-Z. He has a recurring scholarship of $35,000 that he provides for students. Not a lot of people know about that. And it's for any major. You can have, and for him, he's looking for students that is more so not at the level of a 4.0 or even a 3.5. So if you have under a 3.0, you can apply for that scholarship. So don't just think that you have to have a 4.0 or 4.27, to apply for these scholarships. Parents, if your student came and they have even a 2.5, that's, there were challenges. We understand scholarship, private organizations, they understand, have them to apply. Apply. The only answer they can get is a yes or no.
All right. Yes. Apply. Love it. So we're coming towards a close of our panel. So what are some closing comments that you have for our students and families? Let's start with you, Bobby.
So I am going to say this is one of the biggest moments in your student's life. And parents, I can't say this enough, they are going to need you to tap in to their experience. I'm also going to say that don't just look for acceptance letters, because, we went to school, we were getting letters in the mail. That's not what they're doing anymore. Not all colleges are doing that. They are emailing, and that stuff could be in spam. It could be anywhere, which is why parents, I say, get into the tap in with your student and check their emails if you have to. Get those usernames and passwords and help them, assist them, and let them see that you are, in this with them, in the experience.
Yeah. Deanna, any final closing comments?
Yes. So I would say, students, you've worked really hard to submit the applications and even the FAFSA, but make sure you start and you go all the way to the finish. So what am I talking about? So a lot of times the application itself doesn't include the housing application, right? So a lot of times you've been accepted. Yeah, you're all excited. You see all this money, but then you forget to submit the housing application. Or you submitted the housing application, but in order to secure your bed, you need to submit a $300 to $500 security deposit, right? So guys, please, 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 in addition to what Bobby said, check your spam. They're going to give you a student email. They're going to give you notices through the email that you've attached to the application, and follow every step. A lot of times they will give you an email that says next steps, and make sure you do those applications. Make sure you submit that deposit if it's needed, because I cannot tell you how many students, they received financial aid and everything, but they didn't do something as simple as pay their housing deposit. And so because they are out of state, they have no place to stay now, and now they can't go to the college. So make sure, in addition to reading every email, you're filling out every application. You're going to be doing a lot of things all at once. Make sure you stay on top of it and get whomever that you can involved, whether it be a parent, a guardian, an auntie, a sister that's familiar with the college application process, a brother, because it can be overwhelming. You're ending out your senior year and you're trying to start up your freshman college year. That is overwhelming for anybody. So don't be overwhelmed by the process, but definitely get whomever involved and just make sure that you go all the way to the finish.
Well,
to the finish.
Right.
Yes.
Make it. Thank you both so much for your wealth of knowledge, support, experience, and humor, because I think during this college going process, we have to remember to smile. It's not only the anxiety, it's those celebrations you talked about, Bobby. So families, go and pull out that popcorn for your research. Make sure you got the right good cake, not only for the end celebration, but also the celebrations of turning in that application. This is just the beginning of the process. So as we close, just have a couple things to share with you all. the first thing is we are a church. We are driven by and believe in Jesus Christ. And want to remember, like, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and your plans will succeed. Proverbs 16:3. We've been talking about it this entire time. This is just the beginning. Go ahead and plan your college process. Plan when you're going to have those conversations with your family. Plan the time that you're going to do some research on some schools. Once you make the plan, writing your plans under and committing to the Lord, they will always succeed. In Jesus' name I pray right now, amen to that.
Yeah.
The next thing is, here are a few additional resources that we've been sharing to our network, but wanted to make sure you were aware of it. Both of these networks here provide a number of webinars, virtual tours, and other resources that families can use for your college going process. So that is the National Association for College Admission Counseling and Probe. Thank you all for taking the time of watching this workshop. I hope you were able to get what you need and more from our panelists. And if you have any additional questions about our workshops or any other the resource that we've shared, please feel free to email studentministries@newcov.org and include College Connection Project in the subject line. All right, everyone, that's the end of our workshop. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.